talk about the protocol for the correction of billable notes. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the protocol. We're going to go through the different types of notes that need to be prepared. Then we're going to ask Dawn, Lois, and Rachel to talk a little bit about what the audits are picking up and what's happening in the help desk. And then we're going to do some questions and answers. And Dawn, Rachel, Adriana, Lois, myself will be available to the for the question and answers. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. But before we talk about the protocol for the correction of billable notes, I want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about the billing cycle, because the billing cycle puts a time perspective in when we should be correcting most of the notes. So I want to talk about that first. So we have a 4-week billing cycle. All right, so the first week, staff actually write the note into Foothold, and it's a reflection of the billable activity that they perform with the consumer. All right, week 2, supervisors have to review the notes and to give staff feedback on notes that need to be fixed or removed. Week 3, staff fix or remove the notes. So this is really the window where a lot of the note corrections take place. And then week 4 is Joyce's week. It's the biller's week. That's the week that Joyce batches and bills. All right, sometimes she does it at the beginning of the week, sometimes she'll do it later in the week, but that week is hers. So you always have to count on her doing it at the beginning of the week. All right, so that is the billing cycle, and week 3 is our window to do the note corrections. There are no more pooling of notes. There's no more pooling those out of batches. We're trying to get all the corrections done prior to Joyce batching. That's why it's really important to do the corrections during that week. If the error isn't identified until after Joyce batches and bills, then we have to do a repayment. All right, and we've been increasing our repayments. All right, so which isn't a good thing, because that can be a flag for Medicaid if we're paying back too much, if we have a lot of errors that we're reporting back on. So what we're going to do is the reviewers are going to start to do their reviews on week 3 to try to catch stuff before they end up being batched and billed. Okay? I hope that makes sense so far. All right, there are 3 kinds of errors. For content-based errors, staff need to utilize the strikeout function in Foothold to create an amended note entry. I'm not going to go into the technique on how to do that. I think it's pretty widely known. All right, staff need to document the reason for the amended note in all caps at the top of the amended note, and then staff and the consumer need to sign the note. Then there's time-based or date-based mistakes, all right, such as when there's a time overlap. In this case, staff will contact the help desk requesting the note be unlocked. Staff will provide the progress note ID. Once the note is unlocked, staff will correct the date or the time. Then note in all caps the following statement: time corrected note. Then the staff and the consumer will sign the note. This is different from the way it used to be when we were pooling the notes from the batch. Back then, if we used this correction technique, it often resulted in a double bill. Now that we are correcting the notes prior to Joyce batching, it eliminates that problem. Now, I just have to catch my breath. Those of you who know me know that I'm beginning to lose my voice again, so please bear with me. For pool notes, which should never be rebilled, notes that the supervisors identified shouldn't be billed, staff should not. Hey guys. Okay, so the batch notes, hold on. So, are there any questions so far?
John, we didn't used to have the consumer sign the amended note. Is that, as far as I knew, it was just we had to sign it if it was an amended note. Is there any reason like that consumer has to sign it? Because we're just amending our written error, time error, or something like that. Like this, the consumer already agreed to the previous note, which was the teaching or something, the coaching, whatever it was.
Once the help desk removes the signatures from the note, it removes not only the staff signature but the consumer signature. So we would want to have that re-signed.
Okay.
All right. Does that make sense? Yes.
Thank you.
This is Christina. I just have one quick question about the billing cycle. You had said that on the fourth week, that's Joyce's week for the billing. And so when we first went over this, we had created that spreadsheet with the dates of the billing, and the dates were always for a Wednesday. And so I just want to make sure that, the way that we're tracking it to make sure that we get things corrected before they're billed, that it's still okay to use the dates that we had put in that tracking tool and then kind of sent out to every supervisor.
Yeah, so
I don't want to screw that up.
Yeah, no.
It's pretty much like the same, like the dates that I sent out. I think maybe the last, the last Friday roundup. Thank you for bringing that up, Christina, because I was gonna say let's go through the dates. So it's like the Thursday to Wednesday. So the last day is that Wednesday. So for instance, today is Thursday. So today kind of begins the week one.
Right. So and that's why Tim had really made that tracking tool, and just to keep it so we didn't mess up the billing, and things didn't get fixed before they dropped the bill. He has the whole column of the batch billed on dates, and they're all based on Wednesdays. So I just wanted to make sure that she's not going to be batching like the Monday then. That the earliest would be that date that we have listed here on the tracking tool.
Right. So when we say a week, as Adriana pointed out, we're saying Thursday through Wednesday, right? So Thursday's the beginning of the week, Wednesday's the end of the week. So on week 3, beginning that Thursday, Joyce batch. All right. So now some people are saying, well, Joyce has a batch till Monday, so we have those extra days. That's not always the case. So we want to try to make sure that we do our corrections during week 3. Thursday to Wednesday. So it sounds like, Christina, your tracking tool is accurate.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I wanted to, even if Joyce, I don't know if it would help for her to, for me to send her the dates just to make sure that it's okay. But, that's what we've been going based off of, is just that Wednesday date to have that deadline.
It is okay, Christina. You don't have to worry about it. You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. But like John said, remember, so Joyce may be batching on, that Monday of week 4, but she may batch on Friday of that week, so... just follow our own timeline. We just need to know that by the end of week 3, by that Wednesday, the end of day on Wednesday, we have to have our stuff done.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So what I want to do now is I want to kind of ask Dawn and Lois and Rachel to talk a little bit about some of what we're finding in terms of the audits and some of the requests that are going into the help desk. Can Dawn, do you want to start out?
Sure. I just have 2 quick things. I noticed when I was doing the help desk that some people were still sending in requests to have a note unlocked when it was content-based. So,
Vicki.
to make sure everybody's clear that that's really the strike-through method, and not, having the signature removal. And the second part is when I'm reviewing through the chart review, sometimes I'm noticing people are putting strike-throughs, but then they're not writing an addendum underneath the strike-through. So I just see like a note that's struck through, and then they start a whole brand new note. So if you're amending a note, just make sure that in that section after you strike through, the new section you're amending needs to be attached to that.
Okay, so now from the protocol we sent out, there is that change that I referred to earlier, and we will be sending out another protocol that'll reflect that change. And we wanted to reflect that change because we thought it would make it easier for you guys. All right, since there's no longer a need to worry about the note, since we're not pulling it out of the batch, we don't have to worry about the double billing. So we thought it would just simplify things. All right, so within the next couple of days, maybe within the next, probably by Monday, we will be sending out a revised protocol that addresses how to do it. Try to stick with the protocol as much as you can. Keep it handy, okay? Because sometimes there's drift, and people think they have it down and they haven't done it for a while, and then they're kind of drifting away. So kind of keep the protocol handy. All right, Rachel, what are you picking up in the help desk?
I guess the requests to unlock the notes are usually for a lot of time-based or date-based. The biggest thing I ask staff is to give me the reason it needs to be unlocked and the progress note ID. Those are the two most important things I need, and really all I need. And that sometimes doesn't always happen, which results in back and forth. And then that could just delay the correction of the note. The other thing I noticed, this is separate from the help desk, but it has to do with reviewing the notes, just double and triple and quadruple checking the credential you selected when writing your note, whether it was for down billing, for a regular note, whatever. Just make sure it's the correct correct credential every time.
That's a good point, because I just want to, take the opportunity to remind people, one occurrence, if we miss it and it gets picked up by an auditor for Medicaid, it's considered fraud if we're going to upbill. So downbilling we can do, upbilling we can never do. And to create the method of downbilling that we have so that it's reasonable for everyone to be able to implement, we have the risk of upbilling, and that's not a good thing. So I want to thank Rachel. I know she's been keeping a close eye on some of that stuff to make sure that none of the if there's any errant upbilling, it doesn't pass. All right, Lois, anything else? Do you have anything to add?
No, the incorrect billing credentials. The other thing that people should know, we're going to start checking. Some progress notes are signed a week later by staff, and they're not notes that have been amended. We're going to start tracking that on the Golden Thread Review. How the ideal is that the note be written when you're having contact with the consumer and you both sign it. And we're going to start tracking that. That's just something new.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you write the note. Number one, you want it to be a conjoint note. But if it can't be a conjoint note, then you want to write the note as close to the service delivery as possible. Every day that you don't write the note, Medicaid increases the likelihood that it will get picked up by a state or federal auditor. Thank you, Lois. Okay. Any questions about how to correct a note or the billing cycle?
John, this is Christina. I have one more question. So I think the biggest point of clarification for Tim and I in the North, when it came to content-based corrections, I think with this new protocol that's coming out, if it's possible to list specifically what's considered a content-based mistake, because there were certain times where we were under, the impression if somebody were to link by accident to the wrong goal, that they would have to get that unlocked and then relink it, to the correct goal. But we were told that that's considered a content-based correction, and so the way you get that with a strike through is you have to select the same incorrect goal for it to allow you to strike through. The whole top heading has to be exactly the same, and that's the only way it'll allow you to correct it with the strike through method. And so a lot of the time staff were reaching out to the help desk because if it's the wrong goal, they want to write the new node with the correct goal. And so there was a lot of, unnecessary, I guess, reaching out to the help desk. But now we know how we need to fix that. And there were a few other things if we were using billable, non-billable time, and that was incorrect. That's also considered content-based.
Okay.
So when we talk about time errors or date errors, just kind of spelling out in the protocol what's the definition of a content-based error and what's included in that.
Okay, that's a good point. So do you feel it's clear to you now, or do you want to ask the question?
I feel that based on the conversation, because, we talked for a while with Dawn about it, and it became clear once we had the conversation. But, I could see a lot of people reaching out to the help desk, if you're linking to the, wrong goal or something like that, because in order to fix it, you have to select the same incorrect goal in order to strike through. The whole top part has to be the same, So I just wanted to share that on this call, because when you read the protocol, if it just says content-based mistakes, well, what does that mean? What's now in that category? Because in the past, we would have reached out to the Foothold Help Desk, to get it selected to the right goal.
Okay, that makes
sense. Now, it can get a little confusing for staff, when you're trying to fix it and figure out, which way to go with it.
Right, that makes sense to me, Christina, and I think we'll try to accommodate that as we edit the protocol. That's good feedback. And you talked about your conversation with Dawn. We're all in this together. We really, really are. So, if there's any questions, don't be afraid to reach out. I know many people are not, but some people I've never heard from. So I don't know whether they're just perfect and doing it well, or they're afraid to reach out. So just don't be afraid to reach out. We, like I said, we're all in this together, and we want very much to help each other be successful. Right. Adriana, do you have anything you want to add, or?
I did want to stress already what you had done about discussing about the upbilling. That is a very serious issue. We do need to be very careful with that. Please be careful with your credentials, because we're getting a very high number of requests to unlock signatures, and we've been repaying quite a bit of money. So just to be able, not so much you guys, but everyone, for all of us to be more careful on those nodes. But I know that we get a lot of questions like, hey, how do we do this and that? So I'm just encouraging everyone to please ask your questions right now. This is a great opportunity, because I know too many times we have a question and then afterwards, hey, so please ask questions. You have I'm not including myself in this, but you have the masterminds right now on the line to really help you with this.
Well, each of us are a little piece of that mastermind, including you, Adriana. And the other piece of it is Lois is taping this, so it will be accessible and available to people who may not have made this training. So and you just ask a supervisor, or we'll figure out how to get it out to you. But Adriana's right. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Sorry.
Okay, who's that, Aaliyah first?
Yeah.
All right,
my question more so is about the process when a note has been voided and needs to be paid back. Am I anticipating that staff will correct these notes once they are paid back?
Okay, so you're talking about so the protocol doesn't really address that because we really don't want it to happen. When it does, it'll be a case by case basis. But for the most part, that note gets voided, and if the note is billable, you would have to write a whole new note with the correct information, and then it could get picked up when Joyce does the next batch. All right.
Okay, because I just have maybe like 12 notes here. At least 6 of them were golden thread pulls that came out after the protocol changed.
Okay.
And then there were a few that did get picked up, unfortunately, just some minor oversights like AM, PM, or golden thread might have felt like that there needs to be more active service. So I have these notes on my radar. They all appear to be notes that can be corrected. The earliest one is back from November 15th. So
these are ones, like John said, these are going to be case by case, different notes. So
so they all are notes that can be corrected based on what the feedback was from the note.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to lose it as a billable contact. So with those cases, we do want to treat them case by case. So we should really have a dialogue between Joyce, Dawn, and I about the best way to make sure that it gets picked up and corrected.
Okay, just include me in that email, though, please.
And Adriana, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, and we have golden thread reviews on Mondays, so that could be a good time to kind of review that. What would you say, Adriana?
Well, I was going to say, because remember, not all of those might be able to be done just regularly. So some of them might have to be just changed. Some of them might be a whole new note because it might get kicked back depending on how we do the note as a duplicate. So we have to be very careful with each individual one. So even though they all look like they can be rebuilt, it's how we rebuild them. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so should I send you guys my report? I have a report here of about 12 notes that I was waiting to hear back. Because that was my understanding that once they were paid back, they would be correct at that time. That's just been the most confusing part for me. So I have these 12 notes on my radar, and I don't know if I should keep them on my radar or if we're just taking a loss. And the notes are piling up because Neil pulled 2 more this week after they were billed. So I don't know if am I supposed to keep these 2 notes on my radar or what's the case?
Yes, keep them on your radar, and we need to have a separate discussion about how we're going to fix them. We don't want to lose them as a billable contact, provided we can repair them. All right, but it gets more complicated when we're talking about doing the repayment. So we need to make sure, for instance, with Joyce, that if we write a new note, it's not going to still pick up the old one. All right, and we would need to reference the fact that this is a fix or a note that it was an edit of a previous note. And so it's better that we have this discussion in a separate phone call, Aaliyah.
Precisely, and that's going to be basically the protocol for any time that happens. So if we do have to go into repayment and we have to, after something's billed and if there is a note that's caught, then it has to be a whole separate discussion, like John said, with him, Joyce, Lois or Dawn and myself, to see how we can handle each individual one.
So should I just plan to call in on Mondays when this happens, or do I send an email to each of you and schedule something as it comes up?
Talk to Adriana.
First and foremost, and then we can schedule it. I think Monday is a good time, but it's good to have the information first so we can send that email.
All right, so I'll do that. I'll just start with the email. We'll take it from there. Okie doke.
All right, so what else? All right, so we're hoping that this stops. That, when I came back from vacation, I looked at the number of repayments that we had to do, and it's not good because that's a red flag to Medicaid when we do too many repayments. If we didn't do any, that would be a flag too. But we had too many over the last few weeks. So as a result, we've asked the reviewers, like I said earlier, to do their reviews during that 3rd week. So hopefully if they catch something, they're going to catch it before it's batched by Joyce. So that's our hope, so we can cut down on the number of rebills.
I had a couple of questions. I'm sorry, and I missed the beginning. So how do you make an up-bill correction? If somebody up-billed, what's the correction?
If somebody up-billed, then you need to contact Dawn, Rachel, or you need to contact Adriana first, or me, Adriana, Dawn, and Rachel. You want to send an email that's happened. All right.
But then what's the actual correction?
I don't think there would be a way to correct an up-bill. If it was an up-bill...
It would be, if it was paid, it would be a payback.
It would be a payback, yeah. But I think Patrice is asking, could you correct it if you caught it in time? And a down bill you can, but an up bill, I don't think there's a way to correct that, right?
You can't
if it hasn't been billed yet, wouldn't be able to use the same protocol to go in, unsign the note, and correct the credential that was selected?
But if it's an up bill, and in fact it was an up bill, there's no way you could correct it.
Well, wait, I'm sorry, Lois, say that again. What?
If it's an up bill, I don't know how you would correct it. I mean, you can't just change the credentials because it's an up bill. It's the person that provided the services, it's got to be their credential.
Well, now, if it's an up bill, all right, and like I think Dawn started to say, if it hasn't been billed yet, then you could treat it the same way you would treat a time error, and you could remove the signature, and then it should allow you to select another credential. I'm going to ask Dawn and Rachel to tell me if I'm right with that.
That's my understanding.
All right, so maybe as we redo this protocol, maybe we could include that in there as well. Thank you for that question.
To catch it, within the month, right?
Now, if it already happened, then like we talked with Aaliyah, it would result in a payback situation, and we should talk about how to manage that separately. And we're hoping not to have many of those at all.
Okay, and my second question is kind of a two-part. So, in theory, aren't we advising Dawn each week, every week, when we've sent our note correction report out and the staff has made their corrections? Aren't we advising her weekly, or is that just monthly?
Dawn, you want to take that?
I think it would. I don't necessarily need it unless you want to send it to me for, any suggestions or something like that. I think other people are they. I don't know that process. Like, are they sending it to Joyce? Somebody else might be better to answer that.
I'm not even sure so I'm still a little confused. So you're asking if you need to send your, pulled notes to Dawn? Is that what you're asking?
What is considered a pulled note, right? And
for the note corrections, like for the staff, the staff to correct. Is that what you're asking? That report that you send
weekly
for staff to correct specific notes.
Right. So that last pulled. Okay, I think we got cut off. My phone rang. When we're talking about what we used to call pooled notes that are not billable at all, okay, that you catch, staff need to go in and make them non-billable, right? And Joyce really doesn't have to be directly involved in that. Our goal is to keep Joyce out of as much as possible, all right? So if staff are writing a note during that first week, and you pick it up during your second week indicating that it really should be a non-billable note, or the errors are such that it shouldn't be billed, then as part of that third week correction, staff should go in and make the bill the progress note non-billable. Does that make sense?
Right. So then, how do we notify her of those because I'm looking at week 4 says send polls to biller. So do we create a whole different document to send to her with the polls, or just,
I see what you're saying.
How to advise her?
Actually, that's that's my question. Now that we've done away with the way we're no longer having her pulled, and I'm directing this, I guess, toward Dawn and Rachel, and maybe if Joyce were on the line, I would ask her. But do we need to advise Joyce of anything if it's corrected during that third week?
I don't know why we would need to do that, because it should be ready to go, and we're no longer pulling anything.
Yeah.
So I think that what you'll find is when we send out the revised protocol, that statement will be removed. So that will no longer be part of the protocol. So, all right, so we're trying to create the system so during that week we could correct our own issues. All right. Now, there's always the chance that something crazy is going, in which case just reach out. Reach out to me, Adriana, Dawn, Rachel. It involves Foothold. Don't be afraid to reach out if there's something crazy going on.
John,
Okay, I guess I'm sorry, I'm still not clear. So in week 4, what are we sending to Dawn
Nothing.
by Wednesday?
Nothing.
Oh, because it says supervisor send polls to biller. Okay.
Right. So that's going to be removed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
John, can I ask one more question? It's Christina. When we pull the notes here, we've been filling out that spreadsheet and then sending it to you, Adriana, and Dawn, and then I follow up with when all of the new note IDs have been, or the notes have been corrected with the new information. Is that something that we should continue to do?
That is perfect.
Okay, so we should do that, and it just doesn't have to go to...
That is perfect, Christina.
I just don't want to keep sending you guys stuff if you don't want it.
Would you like
No, because often we'll try to do a follow-up, and with you, we don't have to do the follow-up because we have that right there.
Okay.
Christina, would you like to repeat that for everyone? Just in case someone heard, oh, that's perfect.
Oh, okay. So what we do here is, and I think we shared the spreadsheet with everyone. If we haven't shared it with you and you want it, Tim created this really great spreadsheet that kind of simplifies the information that's needed, and we'll just plug the notes in as if we were doing it when we used to have to pull from the batch. So we would identify the notes that need to be corrected just to keep track of it. We send that out to staff and copy John, Adriana, and Dawn. And then once we receive back all of the correct note IDs, we plug it into the spreadsheet and just reply all to the email confirming that everything has been corrected, and it'll list then the spreadsheet with all of the new note IDs. It's really a way that Tim and I have been able to keep track of it, because week after week, things can fall through the cracks. I mean, it happened once here where, we were a few spreadsheets in, and there was one note that the new note ID, didn't get reported on, and then we risk it being billed and having to pay it back. So it just kind of like we have that system of knowing when we do that, it keeps us on point with checking it every week.
You have to have some method of tracking it, and I would endorse Christina's method of tracking it. All right. Any other questions? Please don't be shy. All right, Adriana, Dawn, Lois, Rach, is there anything else you want to add before we move to a close?
Oh.
I think the topics were covered. I just want to make sure everyone does understand, and also understand that we really need to keep to these timelines. If something happens and you cannot finish for whatever reason, you have to let Joyce know ASAP. It's not like, oh, well, yeah, she can go back. No, once she batches and bills, she batches and bills. She cannot do anything about it. So please stick to that timeline. Let her know that something's up. Please just talk to some of your staff just to be a little bit more careful. If you have any questions, just reach out. People are available, live. It's not because, certain things, you have to go to the help desk, but if you're just confused about something, you can call one of us.
please do. If you have any questions, it's okay to ask now. Anything about the protocol, anything about any of it, please.
And we're all in this together. I mean, just because you hear us talking about this stuff doesn't mean that we've embraced it and we love it. It means that this is a necessity, and we're trying to set systems up that are the least intrusive and the most efficient for you, because you're the end user, you're the person, you're the group